On today's app.
I really wanted to call you to get your take on the shirt that I'm wearing.
Let me see it. Come on. Well, first of all, I love it because duh. But second of all, it is creamy millennial energy.
I said it's like millennial canva activism.
Yeah, it is. It's like, it almost sounds millennial to say make America great again.
You mean immigrants make America great?
No, but like even his saying, I'm like, literally get a grip.
Make America great again is so like, but first coffee.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, get a freaking grip.
All body, no plans, no plans. All body, no plans, no plans. All body, no plans, no plans, no plans, no plans, no plans, no plans.
Hey, you guys. It's just me today. If you can't tell, I've never done this before. This feels very strange. But Chloe and I's plans have continuously just been mismatched. And this last one was my fault. We were supposed to record and I threw a last minute travel onto her. But I was too embarrassed to put out another re-release of an episode like again. So I'm just going to do a quickie little solo one for you. I'll FaceTime Chloe at some point because she is here in spirit. She was just texting me. And she said it's cool if I do this because I just can't put out another another re-release of an episode. I'm actually out in New Jersey at the infamous Pond House where I got married to the love of my life, John. I do want to immediately address the shirt that I'm wearing. If you're listening only, you obviously can't see, but I'm wearing a shirt that's in what I can only describe as a millennial Canva font that says, "Immigrants make America great." And I got this shirt in one of my 2 a.m. the world is burning, and this is how I'm going to stop it. And this is how I'm going to fix it. And I saw this on TikTok Shop. Doubtful that the $25 I spent on it went toward any charity or good cause, except for the pockets of maybe even a Republican who's making this just to profit off of me. And I was like embarrassed when I got it because it just feels like peak millennial, like, yeah. But then I've actually been wearing it all weekend and out in New Jersey. I'm like, we went to ShopRite and I like unzipped my hoodie and like had it out and felt like it was like I was doing something by wearing it. And maybe I am, but it's that thing where I was like, hell yeah, at 2 a.m. And then I woke up to the email confirmation, was like, oh, why did I buy that? And then I was like really making fun of myself for it. And then it's the thing where something's ironic to you and then it becomes not ironic if you just wear it enough. So yeah, I mean, listen, everything that's going on is really crazy. And a couple weeks ago when I was going to do one of these solo eps when Chloe was in Costa Rica, and then I just did a re-release. But I asked you guys to ask questions for the podcast, and someone had said, when do you just quit and go live in a cave? This is all too much. This is all too hard. And I've been fighting that feeling a lot lately of just, Trump is doing his damn best and just throwing crazy headlines at us every single day, and it starts to feel, and then with AI and Sora, I saw a thing that was like, here's all these videos that were actually AI that went viral recently that you didn't know, and like 2 of them were ones I saw and like sent to John and was laughing at thinking they were real. And I didn't know they were AI. And people were saying this was going to happen where it's like, yeah, I bet there's stuff you're watching and you don't even know that it's AI. And still I was like, no, I got fooled. And it was that one where that girl was on the train and she was like, husband material? And the guy looks up and is like, or whatever that one was. That was freaking AI. And Peter Thiel hesitating. If there was that New York Times interview he did where it was like, but you ultimately want he was asked, like, do you want the human race to last, right? And he hesitated. So I understand everything does feel like it's falling apart and everything does feel like it's crumbling. But I will say, and I've felt the thing of like, why even, especially with like, as a comedian, I'm like, why even bother? But then you go, no, we need to laugh now more than ever. No, you go, it gets boring feeling like the world's ending and just feeling like doomsday. Like, yeah, how long can you feel that before it's like, all right, so I'm just gonna hate and be miserable, like hate my life and hate the world and be miserable every day. And honestly, it was AOC was on MSNBC saying something like along the lines of like, that's exactly what they want. They want us to feel defeated and obey in advance, and they throw these slop crazy headlines at you, so you just feel like you have no power. But the truth is, a lot of these headlines are, I mean, obviously he's trying to he sent the Texas National Guard into Illinois. That's like a civil war, like sending pitting a state against another state. Like, that's crazy. And yes, he's doing a lot of what he's saying he's doing, but also, a lot of it is just to scare you in advance and to make you think it's all over and it's all falling apart. So you just, stop being vocal and stop talking. And we saw with Jimmy Kimmel, like everybody canceled their Disney Plus and then they put him back on the air because like money talks. And it's like, and right now in Chicago, there's, storefronts are like not letting in ICE people to their establishments, and tow truck companies are towing ICE vehicles, and people in Chicago are holding the line, and the Chicago police force is like holding the line and like not giving in, and that has been giving me hope. And then I saw Cristela Alonso is a stand-up comedian, first generation, I believe, Mexican immigrant, and she just put out a new special, and she was on Nicole Wallace's MSNBC show. I just had it on in the background, and then I listened when I saw her on, and she just, in her, I guess her special obviously talks about immigration and stuff. I haven't seen it yet. I want to watch it. It's called Upper Classy. And I remember watching her special Lower Classy when I first started stand-up in 2016, which is like when it was I think it came out right before Trump got elected. But she was on MSNBC saying like, they want us to feel defeated. They want us to not have any joy. And I'm not going to cower to that. Like, we have to be joyful, and we have to still be kind, and we have to not cave to their violence and still hold the line and stand our ground, because that's how they eventually lose. They're freaking out. He's going crazier because his approval rating is as low as it's ever been. And like, there's signs that people between Kimmel and the approval rating and the crazy election in Alaska that like completely flipped Democrat, this like special election, the signs are everywhere that like he's losing his base and people are losing faith in him. So he's going crazy in a way that you only do when you feel threatened. And she was like, you have to choose joy, and you have to hold the line and stick to your principles. And then she ended her segment, like, Nicole thanked her for coming on, and she ended her segment by saying, and I just want to say, like, it's never too late to be a good person, and it's never too late to change your mind and to, own up to a mistake or learn or be kind to your neighbor. Every day is a new chance to do that. Basically saying, like, if you are a Trump supporter, or if you have been on what we consider the wrong side or whatever, and you feel you're having a change of heart, like, we will welcome you, which I think is a good attitude to have. Like, I have someone I went to high school with who like I was close with has like clearly gone off the deep end and is like anti-vax now and has found Jesus. And like, I do feel like a big part of where liberals get things wrong is like icing out people who don't agree with us to the point where they then go off the deep end in the other direction. And this person who I went to high school with, I'm shocked, but I'm also not, because they've shown signs of being on the fringes before. But it's a good lesson in like, I mean, even me with my parents, it's like I have to always be able to have a part of me ready to welcome forgiveness or admittance of wrongdoing, because it's like the day is going to come when there's a reckoning, and even the Oklahoma governor, who's a Republican, backing off of, saying that it's wrong that Trump sent in the Texas National Guard to Chicago, because I think there are Republicans starting to go like, these Epstein files are going to come out, and then we're going to lose our whole constituency because we just like cater to a dictator. So, I mean, listen, without Chloe here, I guess it's clear that I just go on a tangential rant, as I always do, but like, really down the political spectrum. But it feels harder and harder these days to not be, I guess, political. Like, it doesn't even feel like politics to me. I was saying to my dad on the phone the other day, I was like, Dad, this isn't feeling like politics to me anymore. It's feeling like right versus wrong and humane versus not. And I think about, I want to have kids one day, and I think about them asking me like what this time period was like and what I did, and I just can't be someone who's just like, I still want to live my life, and I still do, and I'm still doing comedy and pursuing a career path that feels like, I want it to exist outside of politics, but it just more and more, it's like, how can you effing ignore what's going on? It's so crazy, and I've never considered myself to be a political person. But then again, I don't know. I won the Young Republican Award because in high school because I cared then too, just in a weird, different, uneducated way. Educated, but not educated by a public school system and a household that provided me with certain truths and not with others. I don't know. But that's to say that I listen, I got into NYU somehow. I've got the smarts, but I believed something else, and I guess that political enthusiasm has stayed with me just after a college education and living in a melting pot of a city and reading a lot more books that are banned or that they didn't teach me in high school. I've come around to a different way of thinking. That being said, speaking of books, I'm drinking my coffee. Also, my hair is doing something crazy today, but I decided to just roll with it. It's still wet from the shower. I'm not going to do hot girls, hot takes because, let's be honest, Chloe is the hot girl of the two of us. And what good is a take without someone to argue with about it? But I guess my hot take is you should be informed, and you should be outraged, and you should be wearing shirts that say "Immigrants Make America Great." I did order from Etsy because once I got this, I was like, well, wait, I do like the idea of like wearing my politics in public, but maybe not in a Canva millennial way. So I ordered a shirt on Etsy that's like a Nancy Drew looking cartoon of these two kids like trying to figure out how to destroy ice, like taking a hammer to an ice cube. And I'm going to be wearing that. You better believe I'm going to be wearing that to the No Kings protest this Saturday, October 18th. But that's my hot take. You should care, and you should read the news, and you should be upset, because if not now, when? So I'm not going to do hot girls, hot takes, even though I just kind of did. But in the meantime, I will do our other segment, which means it's time for...
What are you reading? What are you reading? What are you reading? Idiot!
I wanted to talk about this book with Chloe here, but here we are. I finished it this morning, so it's top of mind. The book that I just read, What Are You Reading, Idiot, is called Girl on Girl, How Pop Culture Turned a Generation of Women Against Themselves. And I read this book because my brother's girlfriend, I'm pretty sure I saw on Goodreads that she wanted to read it. And I was like, excuse me, what's that title? Got it from the library. The way I've been reading stuff lately is I have this huge library stack that I'm just never going to get through. And I should figure out that Japanese word. I know I talked about it on the last episode, but I should figure out that Japanese word for getting more books, even though you have a stack you haven't gotten through. But the way I've been choosing what I'm going to read, because of how big that stack is I just go, what's due next? And let me get through it so I can return it. And so, alas, this was the book that was due next. And it's called, I think I already said it out loud. Hang on one second. Girl on Girl, How Pop Culture Turned a Generation of Women Against Themselves. So I'm going to read you my review, and then I will justify why I said what I said. I took like 25 minutes this morning in bed to write this review because I finished it this morning on this rainy Sunday. Welp, I'm rightfully angry at the world again. This is a thorough outlining of the last 30 to 40 years of women in pop culture, well, mostly 1990s and 2000s. The author did draw some connections that I hadn't thought about, but a lot of it felt like stuff I already knew. Never hurts to have a refresher, though. I do wish the analysis of the late 2010s and early 2020s started sooner than the last 20 pages of this book. There's a lot to be proud of and amazed by in the last 10 years of women in culture, especially with the author's thorough retelling of the preceding decades top of mind. I would have loved a more in-depth analysis from her on the past few years beyond a few paragraphs about Kamala and Megan Thee Stallion. Zendaya, Doechii, give us a full chapter on Sydney Sweeney. I'm half kidding, but maybe a sequel? Overall, I enjoyed it and always appreciate an intelligent, well-read woman reminding me of the anger that's necessary to hold on to now more than ever. So I gave it 3 stars, mostly because, it was like a 300-page book, 280, something like that. And it was only at the very end, like which I read this morning when I finished it, where she got into like the 2020s and, or like Fleabag, 2019, that kind of stuff. And it was a very small part of the book reserved for that, which in my mind is where we have the least amount of literary analysis on, is the past 10 years. But she spent all this time in the beginning talking about the 1990s, Madonna, the Spice Girls, a lot about porn, a lot about Paris Hilton, The Simple Life, reality shows, which was all valid and good and necessary. But like she spent so much time talking about it, a lot of which I felt like I had already known about to some extent. And like sex comedies, Apatow movies, like all of that was like, I feel like I've read articles in the Atlantic and such that have covered that kind of feminism and like the exploiting of women and there was some stuff that was new to me, like the way in which like porn, this author argues, influenced all of that stuff was a way where was a point of view where I was like, oh shit, I don't think I've like realized how thoroughly that stuff has influenced all of that. But the enthusiasm and the criticism that she had on all that, it felt like she started writing this, because this book came out this year, I was like, she could have delved more into post-Trump feminist pop culture period. Like she talks about Fleabag being this, like what I thought was interesting was she talked about how in the 2010s, we got like the train wreck woman with like Bridesmaids and Broad City and literally the movie Trainwreck and Girls, of how these women, although Girls was Obama era, but like how the woman that we started to see in pop culture were these protagonists that were not just like nags or whores, which like the aughts made women out to be, but they were these like messy, chaotic ladies, protagonists, which was so good to see, but they were ultimately like, I'm such a hot mess. And then after Trump got elected in the late 2010s, we started to see Fleabag and I May Destroy You and Insecure. And I think that was really interesting to me that she was saying like it became much more dark and not just like, I'm a mess, and more like these women who were so aware of what's expected from them by society sexually and like not owning it, but like the thing of how she quoted how in Fleabag there's a scene which I love where Fleabag and her sister go to these feminist lectures that their dad buys for them because their mom died. And at one of the lectures, the question is like, how many of you would take off 5 years of your life to have the perfect body? And Fleabag and her sister raise their hands and no one else does. And then they just slowly put their hands down. And like that type of feminism, which I feel like I would say Chloe relate to a lot of, like, we know what we were raised by and we're aware of it. And kind of acknowledging that helps us to own it. I don't know. I would have liked to see what this author thought more than just a page of the book on that, than just in the way that, like, Real Housewives and Kardashians got like a whole 30-page chapter, which was interesting. But I'm like, I feel like I've heard that discourse. I wanted the discourse on Sydney Sweeney. I wanted the discourse on Sabrina Carpenter, on TikTok, Addison Rae, all of that stuff. I wanted more. Anyway, that was what I thought about it. I think now I'm going to call in my lovely co-host, who I'm sure at this point, with all my rambling, we miss dearly. I'm going to tap in Chloe to say, hey, thanks for listening to just me before this point. Hey girl, I was just going off about politics and the book I just read, which I figured, what better time to bring you in than when I start talking all about politics.
Yeah, I'm sure you need some what's the word I'm looking for? Some light classic energy.
Yeah, I would say so. Nothing. I just went on a rant about how my hot take was that we all need to be informed and active, and then I talked about this book that I read on feminism.
Oh my God, what book did you read, idiot?
It's called Girl on Girl, How Pop Culture Turned a Generation of Women Against Themselves.
Oh, God.
Are you glad I talked about it without you?
Yeah, but should I listen to the app?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put this up pretty soon within recording it, which is pretty awesome.
To catch up with you.
But I really wanted to call you to get your take on the shirt that I'm wearing.
Let me see it. Come on. Well, first of all, I love it because duh. But second of all, it is creamy millennial energy.
I said it's like millennial canva activism.
Yeah, it is. It's like, it almost sounds millennial to say make America great again.
You mean immigrants make America great?
No, but even his saying, I'm like, literally get a grip.
Make America great again is so but first coffee.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, get a freaking grip.
Totally, girl.
Sure, I'll get one too. If they make it in pink.
Well, probably, but I got a different shirt for the No Kings protest this weekend.
What the heck? Am I coming?
You better.
I'll be there. Sign me up. I hate kings.
Totally, girl. Wow, I'm sad that you're not here. Look at how empty that chair looks without you.
It's actually really upsetting.
It is pretty upsetting.
We talked about it all weekend. Today, I was like, I'm probably going to never have a best friend again.
Why?
Because I just didn't. I should be there with you. I love you so much.
You totally should be here. And I got your dog a bone with her name on it.
She's really deeply depressed.
I bet. Stella's happy as a clam.
You know what I'm reading, idiot? And I don't care about Stella being happy unless my girl's happy too.
Yeah, what are you reading, idiot?
Okay, it's called Blue Sisters.
Oh, by Coco Malone?
By Coco! Yes! So far, it's deeply depressing, but it's also so good.
Yeah, I think I've had that on my want to read list for a while, but I just have not. I see that it looks depressing, and I'm like, I would rather, as I said before, my depression come from nonfiction rather than fiction.
Absolutely. Wait, here's the catch though. What I'm interested in is, did this book come out recently? Do you know the answer actually?
I think it did not come out recently.
Okay, because the main character, one of the girls' names is Bonnie, and their last name is Blue, and I'm like, Bonnie Blue.
That's weird, yeah. Bonnie Blue, another person I would have liked to hear the take from this author in this book I just read.
Yes, just like Bonnie Blue, who are dying to know her take on everything.
Yeah.
But as I'm reading, it's a little distracting because I'm like, you can't be Bonnie Blue.
Oh, do they mention the name a lot, or is that why you're thinking about it a lot?
Yeah, they're like, and Bonnie Blue. I'm like, well,
Bonnie Blue, Spanish flu.
Exactly. Someone messaged me the other day that they watched a documentary about the world and the societal collapse in which we live in, and they were like, Emily would love it. They also mentioned Spanish flu 3 times, and I was like, is that Emily Wilson's life?
A documentary about the world ending and 3 mentions of Spanish flu. All it's missing is a sore.
I'm sure there was one. Okay, get your ass back to New York so we can record.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that I at least got to get you on FaceTime, and I am going to wrap this up so it can stay short and sweet, and we can have the both of us back together in person later this week for next week's app.
That sounds amazing. I miss you, Ab.
I miss you too. I'm almost positive this whole episode was really serious and scary without you.
Oh my God. This podcast is called Brains now.
It's just brains, no body. Okay, I love you, ass.
I love you, ass. Call me later, Ab.
Okay, girl.
Bye.
Bye. I won't. I won't depress you guys. I want you to believe in the optimism of the state of the world. Life is cyclical, history is cyclical, and as long as Peter Thiel does not handhold the destruction. As soon as I hang up, I'm so serious. I'm like, as long as AI does not get us. No, but thanks for listening. I'm sorry this was solo, and we'll be back together again for next week's ep. But I hope you have a great rainy Sunday, and go to your local No Kings protest on Saturday. Okay? Love you, chlo. Love you, Em. Bye. Thanks for listening to All Body, No Brains.
Whether you're just cleaning your apartment, slaying at the gym, or strutting these city streets, we are always grateful for your ears.
Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. And please subscribe to our YouTube.
We know how 2008 that sounds, but seriously, you guys, subscribe to our YouTube.
And tell a friend, too. Lilas.
What?
Love you like a sister.
I'm kidding, Em. I know what lilas means now. Lilas!
All body, no plans, all body,